Nate Frazier Experience. And thanks for clicking on that link. And I know you've seen that title because it's Story Time with Nate. This is the shit that started the podcast all together. You feel me? Without Story Time with Nate, it would be no podcast. But before we get into the story, make sure you hit that like button, that share button, that subscribe button. You feel me? We gotta get this shit in the algorithm. You feel me? We gotta get more people that join and subscribe. You feel me? It's only right. You feel me? So without further ado, let's get into it. It used to be this woman that worked at my job. We gonna call her Nancy. She used to have a bunch of tattoos and piercings and shit like that. So I used to always think she was like weird looking. And like she had this one tattoo on her neck. It was like a skull or something like that. And I was like, oh shit, what the fuck? But she was cool as hell. And then come to find out she was actually married. She was married to this guy that was like 4'11", that she called her own leprechaun, her own personal leprechaun, because he was ginger too. So I was like, okay, if you like it, I love it. You feel me? So she always tried to invite the guys over for drinks or to the bar and shit like that. But we always declined because, you know, the media circle that I was in, we was all black. So when we see shit like that, we like, nah, we cool. You know what I mean? We ain't gonna deal with shit like that. You feel me? So it was one day that she was having a housewarming party. And she came to me personally when I wasn't around the guys and was like, do you want to come? I know you stay with your girlfriend. You could bring her too. So I said, fuck it. Let me go run it by and see what she say. So when I went home, I ran it by my girlfriend. At first she said, nah. But then I guess she thought about it and was like, you know what? We need to make new friends. We need to get out. Because at the time I was working 2 jobs and she was working 1 job. So she said, hey, we need to get out anyway. We've been working so much. We need a break or whatnot. So I said, all right, cool. So when I went back to work, I went to Nancy and I told her, I was like, yeah, me and my girlfriend, cool. We down for that. Just let us know what day and what time. And I also asked her, who else did she invite? And she was like, I invited everyone, but, you know, if they come, they come. You know, it is what it is. And I'm just, at the time, I didn't really think about it, but I was like, who the fuck says if they come, they come? You know what I mean? And then my dumb ass didn't go to the individuals that I worked with. Like, I could have went to my homies and said, hey, is y'all going to such and such party or whatnot? But I just never brought it up. Like, once I was committed, I was committed. You know what I mean? I was going to go regardless. So that she texted me the address. She texted me the time. I remember it was like a Saturday night. I don't know the exact time. Maybe around 8 or something like that. Because I know we went to Olive Garden, so it was maybe like 8 or maybe earlier than that, like 8 or 7 or shit like that. So we get there. It's a nice looking house. It was like one of them single family homes and shit like that. Looked like it was like a 4-bedroom. It's pretty nice size home. You feel me? Nice neighborhood. I looked around to see if it was like cars for my coworkers and shit like that, but of course I ain't see none of them. So I'm like, I'm gonna be in this motherfucker by myself. You feel me? So, but I was thinking, I was like, at least I got my girlfriend. You know what I mean? I got somebody I could relate to or talk to and shit like that. So before we even went up to the door and knocked, they met us at the door. I was like, damn, these motherfuckers thirsty. I guess they must see us from the window. So they was like, hey, that's good that you came because the party just getting started. And I'm like, what party? You feel me? And this not me saying it. I'm just thinking it like, oh, what party? But I remember distinctively like the music that they was listening to. It was called Smashing Pumpkins, I believe it was, because I like the guitar riff that they was using. I forgot what song. I know the group was called Smashing Pumpkins, I think, or that might be the song. You know what I mean? But either way, that's the song I remember because of the guitar riffs and shit like that. So when we walked in, it was a couple that was already in there, and we just gonna call them Jason and Mary. You know what I mean? Jason and Mary. There's another white couple that was there, that was already there, that was drinking, playing games, and then I got to know Ryan, which is Nancy's boyfriend, the leprechaun dude. So we got to know them. You know, it was kind of awkward because, you know, we the only black couple and then you got 2 white couples. So they'll like talk about shit that's not relatable to us. Like they be like, oh, when we wash up, we don't use wash rags. But in the black culture, everybody use a wash rag and shit like that. So, you know, but for the most part, it was cool. It was fun. You know, I was able to wind down, not have to worry about work, paying bills, just have some fun. So we was gonna head out to Olive Garden because this is the first time I ever seen this. Like somebody had a housewarming party and had planned every single thing out. Like we gonna go here, we gonna go there, and then we gonna come back here. So they had everything planned out. First time ever. But you know me being young, I was like, okay, it is what it is. So before I left, I was like, let me use the bathroom. So I remember Nancy pointed me in the direction of the bathroom, and I remember because we was in the living room, and then you had like a hallway, and then I believe to the right it was the bedroom, and to the left was the bathroom. So it was dark as shit back there. So I go back there, and I guess I got confused and was like, oh, right, left, left, right. So instead of me going to the left, I went to the right. I go to the right, it's a bedroom. So uh, So going into that bedroom, it was like a spotlight coming from the backyard. Some people got spotlights in their backyard. It was a spotlight shining through the window because the shades of the window was open, and it was somebody sleeping there. Scared the shit out of me because I was like, oh shit, like a black person in an all white household. I don't want to get the cops called on me and shit like that. So I slowly started backing away, and then that's when Ryan had seen I had took the wrong turn, and he pointed me in the right direction. And while he was pointing me in the right direction, he was explaining to me, "Oh, that's his grandmother. She's bedridden because of multiple scoliosis or something like that. Some disease that had made her bedridden and shit like that." So I was like, "Okay, I didn't think nothing of it, and shit like that." So while we was driving to Olive Garden, I was talking to my girlfriend, and I was explaining to her like, they grandmama is asleep in the back. Scared the shit out of me when I tried to go to the bathroom, went to the wrong fucking room. And she was like, yo, dumbass, like, why you always not following directions? I was like, man, this time I tried to follow directions, but drinking and shit, you lose sense of direction and shit like that. But she was like, that's probably the woman from the pictures and shit like that. I was like, look, fucking detective, always got to go figure out some shit or whatnot. So we was in Olive Garden. I got to know Ryan a little bit more. I found out that he used to stay in, I believe it was Wisconsin, some place called Mount Pleasant, I think, or something like that. But he used to stay there, and he used to cosplay as a leprechaun during like St. Patrick's Day and shit like that. So I was like, oh, okay, this. I was like, so your wife calling you a leprechaun at work is not like a funny thing. Like it's a real deal thing. He was like, yeah, I used to do cosplay and show up to kids' birthday parties and shit like that. But because of the crime out there, he ended up moving out where we was at. I believe it was Mundelein or some shit like that. I think so. I think it was Mundelein. I know it wasn't too far to get there, but it was as far as shit from where I stayed at. So yeah, he was like he came from Wisconsin doing his cosplay, and now he stays in Mundelein. And I asked him like, "What you do for money now?" And he said he get money from taking care of his grandma, like a caregiver type of thing. So he's able to stay at home or whatnot, and just make sure his grandma is straight or whatnot. So, but while we was talking, like these motherfuckers have money. I don't know where the money fucking came from, but you know, being at Olive Garden, I've been to Olive Garden plenty of times, but these motherfuckers was ordering wine by the bottle. They said bring the whole bottle of wine. I was like, damn, these motherfuckers lit. You feel me? So my girlfriend, of course, get drunk. She love wine and shit like that. She see all these bottles, her eyes lit up. Was like, yo, we drinking all this shit. So she got drunk, and everybody was like, it's about time to go. So we was gonna split the bill of what each person got, but these motherfuckers paid for whole the bill, and I was like, damn. And they looked at me and was like, y'all came to our party, and we really appreciate y'all, so we gonna pay the bill. So I was like, damn, that shit lit. Okay, I was like, these people kind of cool. You know what I mean? I fuck with them. So of course we drove back because my girlfriend is drunk as shit right now. So it is what it is. You have fun. As long as you got at least one person that's able sober enough to drive. You feel me? That's all that counts. So we drive back. We ended up getting back to the crib, and we was playing like Monopoly Deal. They had some other shit called it wasn't Sorry. It was something Shoots or something like that. we was playing like shoots and shit like that, having a good time. I guess after drinking a bit, it started getting a little fun. You feel me? I didn't mind it. I was like, hey, it's pretty cool. So at the time, it was like getting late. You feel me? So I was like, man, it's about time to go. My girlfriend's still drunk. I want to make sure she get home safe and shit like that. But they insisted on like saying like, oh no, you could stay here or whatnot. You ain't gotta leave. And I was like, nah, like it's cool. You know what I mean? I'm good enough. I'm woke. I'm woke enough to get home. You feel me? So they was like, nah, it's okay. It's okay. You can stay here. You can spend the night or whatnot. I'm like, and I'm looking at the other couple, like what? Like okay, like what's wrong with them? And the other couple look like, how people give that look like of like, yeah, that's on you type shit. Like he looking in their cup and shit like that. And I said, nah, it's okay. I insist. I want to go home. You know what I mean? I'd rather sleep in my own bed than spend the night at somebody else's house and sleep in their bed. So I was like, no, I insist. And then they gave me like a look like you motherfucker. Like I remember the specific look, like, when you disappoint somebody or some shit like that, and they give you like a certain look. That's the look that they gave me. But they sure enough let me go or whatnot. So we was all leaving. I took my girlfriend in the car, and then I looked at the other couple, Jason and Mary. I said, why y'all didn't stay? Like, ain't these your homies or whatnot? And they looked at me, was like, hell no, we just met them motherfuckers last week at Jewel Osco, and they invited us to a housewarming party. I was like, what? Like already? Like y'all ain't been knowing these motherfuckers for a while? He said, nah, hell no. We just know them. We thought you knew them for the longest. I was like, hell no. We just now hanging out with them. And then plus, one of the conversations that we had at Olive Garden was they sexual escapades, meaning like they were swingers, they was messing with a bunch of people and shit like that. So I'm thinking like, if I stayed in that house with my girlfriend, ain't no telling they might come in that bitch and want to get a Diddy party started. This was before a Diddy party was even mentioned back then, but they trying to get a Diddy party started. So I'm thinking all that shit in my head when they asked me to spend the night and shit like that. So I'm like, I'm cool, I'm not drunk enough to not think like, hey, this may happen. You feel me? So I was thinking about all that shit. So when we got back to work, like 2 days later and shit like that, I kind of avoided her because I was like, man, maybe she don't want to fuck with me no more because of that and shit like that. But sure enough, she was cool as hell. She act like nothing didn't happen and shit like that. And she always told me that you always welcome. If you ever want to come chill or shit like that, you always welcome. So everything was decent. I told my homies, I even told my homies, man, next time y'all need to slide through because we was lit. You feel me? We had some fun and then plus we need more black people. You know what I mean? It was cool hanging out with the white people, but we just need a little bit more black people up there, some color. So, weeks go by and shit like that. And I say maybe like 3 weeks later. No, it was like 2 weeks later. She stopped showing up to work. So we like, damn, like what the fuck happened? We thinking like she got sick, she taking days off and shit like that. So I texted her, was like, yo, everything is good. I may not be really cool with her, but I still care about people. You know what I mean? So I texted her, was like, everything cool. She never texts back. So I was like, damn, this bitch probably like ignored me and some shit like that. So I say like a week later, cop showed up, right? So the cop showed up, and motherfucker, we working third shift on the job and shit like that. And you got a lot of motherfuckers that come in there drunk, high, so they getting scared because they lined us up. They lined us up in front of like an HR room and shit like that, and said we got some questions for people at your job, but they didn't tell us what it's about. They just said we got questions. So I got motherfuckers in my ear like, man, you think they gonna do a random drug test and all that shit? I was like, bro, they not gonna do that shit. Ain't no way in hell. It's fucking 12 o'clock midnight. What the fuck they doing drug tests? So my turn comes up. I go in there and I said, put on my white voice. What seems to be the problem, officers? Like, you know what I mean? So they said we got an ongoing investigation for Nancy. I'm like, Okay, all right, what y'all need to know? And they just wanted to know how was she around me? Like, did I work with her a lot? Did I speak to her a lot? And I told them, I was like, yeah, me and her, we worked together at the same, because I used to be a machine operator. She was also a repair, like like the machine I operated, it solders on certain parts. So she was at the end fixing those parts if it ever messed up and shit like that. So that's how we got to hanging out and stuff like that. But I also told them, yeah, I've been to a crib, hung out with them, and once I said that, them motherfuckers looked at each other like, and they was like, "Tell us more." And I was like, "Oh shit, I done dug a hole for myself or something." So I told them that we hung out. We was at this house. We went to Olive Garden, came back. And I just went home. And they was like, "Are you sure? You didn't see anything unusual? You didn't see nothing wrong, or anything like that?" I was like, "Nah." You feel me? Like, but I was asking, I was like, yo, what happened? Like, you know what I mean? Like the suspense. I'm like, what happened? Like, why are you asking? So they had like a tape recorder and shit like that. So when I started telling the story, they had the tape recorder on. And one of the officers was like, okay, I'm gonna tell you. And then she took the tape recorder off and was like, off the books. Nancy is being prosecuted for like first degree murder of a couple or something like that. And I was like, what are you talking about? And I'm thinking like the Jason and Mary, the people that they just met like a week ago from that day. I'm thinking something happened with them. Like they must got mad at them or some shit like that. But they was like, no. So this is how the cop explained it. It was like the house that we went to wasn't really their house. It was a house of an elderly couple and whatnot. And I was like, whoa. And I started thinking, like, that older lady that was in the bed, was that really his grandma? Or was that the couple that stayed there? So she explained that the couple that stayed at that house was elderly, and they did some bodily harm to that couple and then started living in the house. But they said that's all we could tell them. That's all they could tell me. They still doing an ongoing investigation. They trying to see they possible suspects and shit like that. So I was like, all right, okay, thanks for telling me. And they put me on my way and whatnot. Boy, when I got off work, I raced to the crib. I was ready to tell my girlfriend, like, yo, you know what the fuck happened? So when I get to the crib, she was asleep, woke up out the sleep. Yo, I gotta tell you something. And she was like, what? I was like, I think the people that we hung out with, they murdered somebody. She was like, what? What you mean? And I explained the story that the officer told me. And she was like, she started thinking. And she said, that's crazy, because in the pictures, I only see that it was like an elderly couple in the pictures, but you never seen pictures of the couple that we was cool with. You never seen them in the pictures. It was only like an old lady and an old guy or whatnot. So I'm like, what the fuck? And she was like, just think about it. She was like, because I remember you telling me that they kept telling us, hey, we could spend the night. We could spend the night or whatnot. And I was like, yeah, they kept asking me that. She's like, what if you seen the lady that lived there and they thought you was going to go tell, so they wanted you to spend the night so they could kill you too? And I was like, I'm like, detective over here. I was like, damn. She's like, so babe, you just dodged a fucking bullet, because we could have been, our lives could have been out of there and shit like that. You feel me? We could have been like, you know what I mean? Smoky man, you know what I mean? So I waited like a couple of weeks. Because I left the number for the officers to call me, and then I also said they could talk to my girlfriend too, because she was there. But nobody never called, you feel me? So eventually I kind of forgot about it until like I think I was on Facebook or MySpace at the time, and somebody brought the case up, or somebody shared the case, and I recognized Nancy. I was like, whoa, what the fuck? And I was like, oh, this is the case that was ongoing. So I guess they finally got got they find a verdict or something like that, and I guess she went to jail for like double homicide or something like that of a couple. But then when you go into a court record, so what you could do is you could go into the court records and see what was said inside the court or people's confessions and shit like that. So me doing my due diligence, I went to go see the fucking court records, and she explained what happened with the murder and shit like that. So this is how she explained it. She said that she stayed in a house not too far from the house that they was killed those couples in. So they stayed in that house. They actually knew the couple because they would go on walks and shit like that. I guess the couple came from overseas, Australia or something like that, and they came to look, I'm getting my states mixed up. Well, they came to that house for like a job opportunity, and they were supposed to go back, but they end up staying. So they never had any family here. They was all in Australia. So family used to rarely come up there. It used to just be them two. And Nancy and Ryan, they was staying at the house a few blocks away. So I guess at the time, Ryan and Nancy was going through like financial troubles and shit like that. And they couldn't keep up with the rent. So they was gonna get evicted. But with them not having enough money and a lot of family around, they was gonna have to go back to the shelter. And she said that she didn't want to go back to the shelter because I guess sexual things happened at the shelter with her and a few other people and shit like that. So she didn't want to go back. So Ryan was like, let's go to the elderly couple because they know they got a big ass house and there might be some rooms for rent. No, it wasn't Ryan. It was Nancy. Nancy was gonna go originally, so she went and asked. And at first they said yeah. They was like, we'll let you come stay over here, whatnot. You only got to pay us a certain amount. But then once they found out that Ryan was going to stay there, they decided to say no. We don't want both of you. We cool with just bringing you because you're a woman or whatnot. It was like those type of people. So when she told the story to Ryan, Ryan said, hey, let me go talk to the individuals and see if I could talk some sense in them. So I guess Ryan went there, and as soon as the older guy opened the door, he shot him in the head. Pow. You know what I mean? Out of here. You know what I mean? Smoky mind. So once he shot him in the head, I guess the wife or the wife of the elderly couple, she was still in bed. I guess I don't know if she took sleeping pills or whatnot to not hear the gunshot or whatnot. So she was still asleep. So Ryan, what he did instead of just shooting her, he just strangled her to death and shit like that and left her in the bed. So when I went to go use the bathroom and went in the wrong room, that woman was dead in that bed. Like she was out of here. You feel me? And I'm thinking like she sleep. You feel me? Like I'm this wild as hell. So I guess he strangled her in the bed. He put the guy in the shed. He put the guy in the shed, and he was going to put the wife in the shed, but I guess something spooked him to where he was like, okay, we just gonna leave her here. So he ran back to Nancy and explained what he did. Nancy was gonna go tell, but this man like manipulated her into not saying anything because he was like, you remember I had to do this for us. You don't want to go back to the shelter because you remember what happened at the shelter, shit like that. So Nancy, being, groomable, I guess that's what it is, or influence, she went along with what was going on and shit like that. So I guess these motherfuckers forgot about putting the woman into the fucking shed because they just left her there. Like, they never even got a second thought, like, okay, we got the guy in the shed. What about the woman? Or even getting rid, like, what if somebody did, like, was wanted to use, like, a tool or something and went into the shed and seen this rotten body in there? You know what I mean? That's crazy. And for me to almost, like, stumble upon that shit, that's even more crazy. And the reason why I brung up this story because I was looking at America's Most Wanted. It's like a TV show where it's like people still on the run. This guy, Ryan, came up. he had like a different name and shit like that, but the picture that they had up there it looked like the same fucking guy, and I was like, oh, they never called him. So basically, what happened was when uh when cops, like, something happened, like, I forgot what the court thing was, but the reason why they got caught is because somebody noticed them in and out the house, and they normally be like, "Nah, we know the elderly couple that stay there. Who the fuck is these people?" And I guess somebody came to the door and they said, "Oh, we their children," and they didn't believe that shit. So the cops went to go investigate the house, and they found the body in the shed, and then the body in the fucking bedroom. But they caught on to Nancy, but they never called Ryan, and I guess Ryan went on the run, and I guess Nancy said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna take the blunt of the thing," and said it was all her. You know what I mean? She I guess in the court records, she was explaining the story of what happened or whatnot, but she didn't want them to put it on him. She was gonna take the whole blunt of the thing. They still looking for the nigga though. Like, they still finding him and trying to charge him. But I guess she took the blunt of the charge, was like, no, I'm here, get me. And I guess this other nigga been on the run because it was another case where somebody went into the home and groped a elderly couple. Like, who the fuck does that shit? Like, they went to the house and then waited till the people went to sleep, and then while they was sleeping, he groped their leg or some shit like that, and then left, skedaddled out the. You know what I mean? So that's why I brought this story up, because I seen the nigga and I was like, oh shit, that's the same nigga that from the house of that one time or shit like that. So crazy shit, you know what I mean? Crazy shit. Fortunately enough, I was able to avoid that situation or whatnot, because it could have went way left if I would have spent it like that. You feel me? I'm glad I never did. You feel me? So it's another Nate Frazier experience. Story time with Nate. Make sure y'all stay safe out there and also stay dangerous. You know what I mean? Don't be out here lacking. You feel me? There's some crazy psycho people out here, and you will never know if they crazy psycho. They look like one of us. You feel me? So don't forget to hit that like button, that share button, that subscribe button. Peace.